Now, the conversation around electric vehicles has often brought us back to the same statement that while EVs are great, there hasn't been one for the mass market. But that changes now. This is Auto Today. My name is Dipayan and you're joining us on the review of the brand new Tata Tiago.ev. Now, there are some tweaks to the design on the outside which we'll go through quickly before we hop into the driver's seat and tell you what it's like to drive and what the cabin is like. The electric version of the Tata Tiago hatchback has the same overall shape and styling as the petrol version, but of course there are a handful of changes that make it unique and set it apart from its ICE sibling. Starting at the front, the grille has been replaced with a black plastic panel with the .ev badge that can also be seen on the front fenders. The bumper now sports the signature tri-arrow pattern and the nose also gets those signature Tata EV blue accents. Another big change in the profile are the 14-inch wheels that are steel wheels but get very convincing alloy-like wheel covers, and of course at the rear the only change is the Tata Tiago.ev badge. Now, from behind the wheel of the new Tiago.ev, there are a few important things that you have to know. First off, it's available in 7 trims, but most importantly 2 states of tune, which means that you get a larger battery pack in the long range version as well as more power and more torque. This top of the range version makes about 81 horsepower and 114 Nm of torque, where the lower range version makes about 61 horsepower and 110 Nm of torque. Where they separate in a big way, of course, is the range. That's because this one has a 24 kilowatt hour battery pack, where the other one has only a 19.2. And that means while that has a 250 kilometer MIDC range, this one has 315. Now, in the real world, this one will give you about 150 kilometers if you drive it carefully, but that could come down, of course, if you have the AC on and other factors. Now, that said, of course, coming back to the regen, you do get 3 modes of regen which allow you to generate more range as you go along. They can be set from the dashboard and it's pretty easy to set as well. Right now I've gone to the maximum regen so I can get the most range out of this battery pack. That said, the cabin itself is quite a lot like the standard Tiago, and that's good, which means you get a Harman infotainment system, Harman audio system, and while the plastics are still quite hard, they are quite premium to look at and make the cabin feel like a nice place to be. Another important difference that you have to know between the long range version and the standard version of the Tiago.ev is the fact that this one accelerates a little bit faster, which means that it gets from 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, whereas the Tiago.ev with the standard battery pack gets there in 6.1. Now, this is not a big difference and it's not something you're really going to feel, but it's something that you should keep in mind when you're considering both options. Now finally, let's hop in the back seat and see what it's like in the second row of the Tiago.ev. Now, one of the concerns that a lot of people buying EVs have is, of course, the floor of the vehicle where the battery is usually stored. Now, Tata have been really smart about it, storing one set of batteries under this seat and one set of batteries under the boot, which means that there isn't really that much of compromise on space in the cabin, which means you get a full-size Tata Tiago, which is already a pretty spacious hatch, and that I think is a very big plus for the Tata Tiago.ev. Now, of course, this is a budget hatch, which means you don't get a lot of features like rear AC vents and of course a rear charger, but you do get a cigarette lighter port that is accessible to the rear seat passengers, which means that you can probably use a charger that fits in that port and draw your cables back, which means that being in the back seat of the Tata Tiago EV isn't as Spartan as you would think it would be. Now you might be thinking, because half of the split battery pack is in the boot, that you're losing out on some boot space, but in the Tiago.ev that is not true. You get about the same size of boot, just about 2 liters less, but what you do miss out on, of course, is a spare. All you get is this puncture repair kit, but I still think that works out pretty good. Thank you so much for checking out our video review of the new Tata Tiago.ev. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to smash that like button because it means a whole lot to us. Don't forget to subscribe to the Automotive channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new video. Now, as for the Tata Tiago EV, which is India's most accessible electric car, I think it makes a very strong case for itself, especially at its entry price point, where it offers a whole lot for very, very little. And it's a car that you can use almost every day and for any purpose inside the city. We've driven it over 160 kilometers and we still have 9% range. I mean, that range anxiety is something that you will get over gradually and get used to and figure out how to work around. But I think until then, also this car has enough to back you up for an entire day's worth of driving inside the city. As for performance, it does offer the kind of performance that you need, and overall I think it makes a very strong case for itself as a mass market electric car. Thank you so much for watching. This is Didi signing off.